Hi everybody, Leslie here. I'm in my craft lab making one more Christmas craft just before Christmas, and hopefully you'll have time to do these yourself. So today I'm going to share how to make these little name place holders, and these of course have a twist. These are sliding puzzle cards. So if you've been following me for a while, I did a whole series of sliding puzzle cards. So this is just a little mini version, and if you've made any of them, this will be really simple for you. But I'm going to, because it's so tiny, I'm just going to make one in real time and show you how this works. You don't need any fancy dies. If you've got a paper trimmer and you've got paper card and foam tape, you can do these. You can even do them without foam tape if you're prepared to stick strips of card together to make the dimension that's hidden behind. You can do that as well. My intention is I'm going to, on my Christmas dinner table, pop one of these at each place and mix all the pieces, so not just the 6 from this. So everybody's piece is going to be in the middle, and they've got to find their own little name place. So it just makes it something fun to do while I'm serving the food, and they'll have to do mine for me as well. And of course you can put anything you want in the background of these. I had wanted to get to using my new hot foil plate, which is perfect for this because flat, no dimension is perfect for anything that you want to cut up when you finish. So I had wanted to do it with this. I've just run out of time, and I'm not an expert with my glimmer machine yet, so I thought it would take too much time and this video would be too late for anybody to do this themselves. There's tons of things you could put in the background. Glimmer plates, obviously. I've used pattern paper today for speed. You could use background stamps, and then of course to put the words on the top. Handwriting, if you've got nice neat handwriting, you could print it on your computer. I actually used some really old, I think these are Stampendous from 2004. So I just used a little typewriter font stamps. If you've got stamps, if you've got small die cut letters, you could just stick die cut letters on. If you've got a label machine, this type of thing, you could do them with that. So however you want to do your names on it, as long as you can cut it up when you're finished, you can use it. I've just used little punched out snowflakes because I keep them in a bits box, and I tend to use my snowflake punch to cut out all the little extra edges and things before it goes, scraps go in the bin. And just before we get on with this, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who's new to subscribing to me. I am 7 subscribers at the last check off hitting 1,000 subscribers, and that's a massive milestone. If you know anything about YouTube, you'll know why. You should know I've got a huge giveaway. The moment I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will do a video and ask comments on it, and I've got quite a big pile of things ready to post out to whoever wins that giveaway. So there'll be more details coming when I do hit 1,000 subscribers. So like, subscribe, comment, all that lovely stuff. It does really keep us little creators motivated when we're not getting thousands of views. So thanks for watching in advance, and let's get on with it and make these. The dimensions that I've made these, it's all really easy measurements. I have made my little piece so that the front panel is 2 inches by 3 inches, and this is just from pattern paper. So from a 6x6 sheet of pattern paper, I've got 6 of these, 2 inches by 3 inches. So very easy measurements. So to make your piece to put it onto, you obviously then need it to be 3 inches wide and 4 inches long, and you just need to score at the halfway mark, so on the 2-inch line. So all we're doing is making 2 by 3 and then a little tent fold card to stick it on. To make all the bits that are hidden in amongst it, hidden behind, you need 3/4 inch wide strips. So these are 3/4 of an inch wide, and you'll need 3 for each one of these. So we're actually going to need 3. I've not cut these down yet. I'll show you why as we make it. But you need 3/4 inch wide strips, and these can be from scraps because you'll only ever see one side of it. You won't see the back side of it. So if you've got things with mess up stamping on or a dirty mark, just cut it from that. It does need to be quite sturdy. And then you'll need as well 1/2 inch wide. So all I've done is gone through my scraps, cut down 3/4 inch wide and 1/2 inch wide strips. And they'll all end up being 3 inches wide eventually. That's all the pieces you need. And you will also need some sort of foam tape. So my foam tape is 3/16 of an inch wide. It will work up to about 1/4 inch wide tape. So this is 3/16. And Gina K, I believe, does shaker strips. They're not on a roll, they're on sheets. But hers, I believe, are about the same width and depth as this. I think Jennifer Maguire featured them on a video the other day. Definitely Gina K if you can't find it on a roll. But it's about 3/16 of an inch and it's not very deep. You can see it's the shallow stuff. But the depth's not so important. If you haven't got access to shaker tape, I have in the past had a go and I've cut myself loads and loads of 3/16. That's about 5mm, by the way, if you're a metric person. So 3/16 of an inch or 5mm wide strips and glued them together. It just makes the cutting up at the end a little bit more difficult, but you can do it and make your own. These are just glued together cardboard strips. So you can do that as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually finish decorating my panels because I'm using a wet glue and I want my glue to be dry, just so that when I come to cut it up, everything stays nicely stuck and it's easier to cut things once they're dry. So I'm just finishing popping all my snowflakes on, and this is how, when I want to get glue all over the back of small die cut or punch things, obviously don't do this if you've got sensitive skin, but I just tend to put some glue out on the back of my hand and then use little tweezers, and then I can drop things in and they get a really good, nice even coating. These are only tiny little bits of paper. They only need a thin amount of glue. I've left my glue drying, and then I'm just going to come in and anything that's on the back, I'm just going to snip any extra little pieces off because some of my snowflakes were overhanging in places. And just because I've not got my scoreboard anywhere to hand, I'm just going to use my trimmer just to score these in half. So I'm just putting it at the 2 inch line and scoring it with a ball tool at 2 inches. So I'm just going to do my father-in-law's card now. So as you can see, this will fit nicely on there. All I need to do is, we only need one line on this, and I'm just going to mark it at 1 inch and put a line across the middle. If you've not got a T-square ruler, you can obviously just put 2 marks so that you know where the centre is. And that's just to help us make sure we get things in the middle. And all I'm going to do is put my foam tape across the middle. So I'm just using that nice straight line to get my foam tape going straight across the middle. And trim it off. And then I want a line right on the very bottom. Just lined up to that bottom edge. And then the same one right on the very top edge. It doesn't matter if it's a tiny bit in from the edge. Okay. So that's our base piece. My glass mat hasn't got inches on, it's got centimetres on. So I'm just using my board that's got inches on just for a grid behind. It just helps line things up. If you've not got one of these, just mark in the middle of your 3/4 inch piece, just so that you know where the center of it is. But I'm just going to line up my background with one of the lines on my board, and then take the backing strip off, and this is the one that's 3/4 of an inch wide, and I'm just eyeballing that lands in the middle of that strip as straight as I can get it. So it's just gone right down the middle. And if you've got any excess hanging off, just give it a trim off. You only want to put your first one on to start with. Then on your 1/2 inch strip, so this is the 1/2 inch wide, I am actually going to just cut it down to the 3 inches. And I'm just being lazy and doing it with my scissors. I could have done this on my trimmer. Is that 3 inches? Oh, no, it's not long enough to make 2. So this piece isn't long enough. And you just need 2 of these. Cut down to the 3 inches. And it doesn't need to be really square because you'll probably end up trimming some of this anyway. So on the 1/2 inch wide strips, you want to do the same thing with your foam tape. You want to stick it right down the middle. Now, if you want, you can draw a line, or you can just do what I'm doing. And if you've got a grid on anything, it could be on your trimmer, it could be on a board, or like I say, just draw yourself some little guidelines. I'm just lining it up with the lines and sticking it down the middle. And you want it reasonably straight across the centre. Now, with our back strip, so this is the strip that's going to end up stuck to our front panel, we're using that as a spacer. So we've got our centre 3/4 inch one stuck in there, and now I've got my strip in there, and I'm just buttoning it up quite tight. You don't want it to be really tight, but quite tight. Then I'm taking the backing off my foam tape and just using another one of my 3/4 inch wide strips, and I'm just going to stick it butted up to that foam tape. Don't worry about it hanging off the top, the bottom. So can you see this now will slide in and out? And I'm just going to turn this over, and hopefully you can see it's really simple. Just trim it off from the back. So I don't worry about cutting these ones to the right length too much. I just want it to be big enough to go across. And this is the overhang, so this is on the folded edge, and then just do the same thing, just trim that off. You can see from the back just to trim it off. Okay, so now we've got a strip that will slide in and out of our little channel. So we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. Put our other strip, I've turned it upside down now, you can see, so this is now the open side. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold that butted up against our centerpiece, take the backing off the foam tape, or if you're using card strips and wet glue, obviously, just make sure you've got your glue on there ready. So same thing, butt it up quite tight to that middle, to that foam strip. So again, it'll slide in and out, not too tight, not too loose. I can slide those out of the way now. And do the same thing, just trim it from the back, just to get all the edges nice and square to our panel. So now we've got our 2 strips that fit in here. And don't worry, if it overhangs, it doesn't matter for now. We'll end up trimming everything at the end anyway. So these now we need to cut these into 1-inch pieces. So we're making squares that are 1 inch square. So we need to cut these into 1-inch pieces. So however you want to do that, I'm just going to very quickly mark at 1 inch with my pencil, 1-inch lines, and then just cut them with my scissors. And like I say, it doesn't need to be desperately accurate because we'll probably trim them again. So don't worry too much about them being dead straight. Just cut them 1, 2. And this is where, if you've used stacked cardstock strips, this is the part that will be slightly harder to do, because of course you're going to be trying to cut through however many pieces of card. As you can see, it's very quick and easy with the foam. So just pop those back in so we don't lose anything. So hopefully you can start to see where we're going with this. And I have tried other methods of doing it in a different order, and this is the way that everything sits the flattest and the squarest, so that when your puzzle's complete, it looks completely flat and doesn't get bent out of shape. So the last thing we need to do is just cut up this and get it stuck onto there. So the way I do this is I'm using my guillotine. Depends on what you've done. You could use your paper trimmer. I'm just using my guillotine, and I'm just going to cut it into 1-inch squares. So I would do the long side down the middle, and then to make sure it all lines up, I would pop them back together, match them back up. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Match them back up and slide them across. And cut. And obviously, depends what you've got on there, how difficult it will be to cut through. And again, just with it all nicely lined up so that we know it's all going to match up when we do our puzzle. And there we go. I've got 6 squares. And then I generally start with the bottom corner, so make sure I've got it the right way up. I'm taking the tape off just the bottom corner one. Make sure I've got these in the right order. So with the bottom corner, I'm lining my bottom corner to my bottom corner so that I know everything's going to sit fairly square on here. Then take my next piece of tape off, pop my next one on. Make sure it's all nicely matched up. And again, and I've got this is quite thick pattern paper. I think it's one of the first edition pads. Let me check. Yeah, this is the first edition Christmas Promise, and this is a 200 GSM heavyweight cardstock. So it is quite a thick. If you're using a pattern paper and it's a lighter weight pattern paper, obviously you might want to back it and make sure it's well stuck onto something heavier weight. So, but obviously you could stamp, you could ink, you could use die cuts, whatever it is that you want to use. As long as you can do that last step, which is cutting it up at the end, you can have whatever you want on there. And make your little name labels however you like. So that's all on there. Now, when you slide these out, it doesn't matter how accurately you've cut everything, you'll always end up with an overhang somewhere along the line. So all you need to do is tip your scissors. So I'm not cutting the top panel at all. I've got my scissors tipped completely away from the top panel, and I'm just cutting off generally a little bit of foam tape and a little bit of the backing, and it'll usually need it on one side and not the other. Sometimes it needs it on both sides, but very quick to do. So that's it, all finished. So cutting it, other than cutting out all the strips, which takes seconds if you've got a trimmer. Again, you could do it if you've just got pencil and ruler and scissors, but it only takes a few seconds to cut all those things out. And you're only making tiny little things, and that's that one all done. So, like I say, my intention is that I will take everybody's apart, and yes, they're only 6-piece puzzles, but if you see what I did, I made sure that the name and the letters went across the centres. So it's suddenly, now I've got 12 pieces, that's suddenly 2 different names, a little bit more tricky. So if I've got 5 people for Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, so we'll have 5 6s, we'll have 30 pieces in a bowl, and they've got to make their own little name tags. So I thought that was just a fun way. You could do it for a dinner party. It doesn't just need to be for Christmas, but I thought I'd get this video up there ready in time for Christmas in case it's something fun that you could do and, you know, keep kids occupied whilst you're serving dinner. So I do hope you're enjoying my content. I do still do a little happy dance every time my subscriber count goes up, and it would be amazing if I could get to that 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. So if you haven't subscribed and you've been enjoying my content, please do. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe on YouTube. It's just a way of telling YouTube, oh, I like this person, show me some more of their videos, and that's all it does. So thank you for watching. If I don't manage to do another video before Christmas, my next one will probably be my giveaway for getting my 1,000 subscribers. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Have a lovely Christmas and a very happy new year. But I will be back. I'm going to do some organising videos, I think, once we get past Christmas. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.